Hey YouTube, Howie here from Voltcraft Nelson. Today we're going to run over the new Makita 40 volt XGT Planner, model number KP01G. Quick run over what we're going to go through. We're going to go through this one versus what I was used to run, a couple of pros and cons and the new features of the new planner. First up, what I used to run was Bosch's 18 volt battery planer. It's been a good tool. I've had it for 7 years, but it's time to upgrade. This one here, I'm chewing, between this and a battery powered vacuum, I'm chewing about 10 batteries a day on site, putting kitchens in. So now going to something with a bit more grunt on the 4 amp hour battery is just really good. I've been on the market for a new planer for a long time. I've been hanging out there waiting for Bosch to come out with a new model, and they just didn't. And so it was time to take advantage of what Makita had to offer, and they seem to be making some really good gear. A couple of things that are annoying about the Bosch one: it only has the one blade, so it does tend to bog down, and its max depth of cut is 1.6 millimeters, which when you've got to take 10 mil off, it can take a fair while. But on the positive side, it does shoot the dust extraction either side, which is really easy, and not really many other tools have got a good system out yet. But it does jam up. You do get a lot of dust and bigger pieces stuck in the chute, which gets really frustrating. So a couple of reasons why I upgraded, as well as I was chewing a lot of batteries with that one, even with 4 amp hour batteries. So when you go back to the Makita one, it goes back to the standard 2 blades with the throwaway tips, or you can put in more meatier blades with it as well. It is a big tool, and we'll come back to that shortly. But the tool on this one will do a max depth of 4 millimeters cut, which is a massive strike you can take off per time. And you can do a real deep rebate cut on the side, 25 millimeters, which the Bosch one, 5-6 millimeters, and that's all you can do. Packed with the bigger battery, it's sure to go well. A couple of things to weigh up, like always when you're buying a new tool, is it the right size, is it going to do what I want it to do, etc, etc. And I was really concerned when I last looked at the 18 volt Makita stuff that it was a big clunky tool. And so a couple of things that I want to touch base on is the size, the weight, how it goes when it's connected up to a vacuum for working inside, because that's predominantly what I do. I feel that's an area where it's getting more and more common that you need to be plugged in on site in a room working away. So this Makita one, you have the larger exhaust port for the shavings. Internally that's a 45 millimeter and externally is 50, and it has the removable piece to go either side to change shooting the extraction through to the other side. Now I was quite concerned about this. I thought it would break off, it would be really flimsy. I've used this, put 2 kitchens in with this so far, and it's been a dream compared to the Bosch. It's been really, really nice. I haven't had any awkward things where I need to change directions quite often for edge tapes and things like that. So I haven't tried that yet, but I've just simply had this plugged in with my vacuum on this one. So far it's been pretty good, and it is more robust than I imagined. The Bosch here is 315 millimeters long, where the Makita is 385 millimeters long, so it's an extra 70 millimeters longer, as well as the Bosch weighs 2.6 kgs with a battery on, and this here with the 4 amp weighs 4.2 kgs. So it is a bit more weight to be lugging around, but it depends what you're using it for, whether you're planing something sideways or whether you're just letting gravity use it. But it will munch the timber really well, and it is really good. So as you're well aware, all the latest tooling for Makita is coming with the Bluetooth chips, or you can buy the chip as an extra and plug it all into the vacuum. I still don't have a Makita vacuum, hint hint, but I do have a Festool vacuum, relatively new, got all the features, so be just as good, but it does have the Bluetooth on the hose, as well as I've upgraded the hose from the standard diameter to the larger diameter hose, which in this circumstance it fits straight into the tool nice and snug, you know, it doesn't fall out. It takes a fair bit of effort to pull it out, which is nice when you're moving it around, etc, etc. The other day on site I did a few tests, and normally with this one I can only do 1 millimeter at a time, and I only do half the width cut, and otherwise it will bog up with my vacuum. but with the new planer hooked up to the Festool, so that Bosch wasn't connected to the Festool, it was connected to a cheaper Bosch battery tool. But connected to the Festool, I had this set on 2mm and I was planing the back of a cabinet, and it was taking it perfectly. It didn't block up the tool, it didn't block up the hose. It was running really, really good. So we'll do a couple of quick trials today, as if you're machining some scribers or something like that on site. One MDF and one HPL plywood, Futura, and see what we think. Rightio, so first test. Typical for a kitchen, some 16mm melamine board with a piece of 1mm edge tape on. This is pretending it's a scriber, 70mm wide, and we have an 82mm cutter. Everything's pretty typical. We'll set the planer to 2mm. There we go. Fresh battery. Piece of piss. Nothing wrong with that. The shaving's backed up. Let's try 4mm. There was a little bit of spray, slightly went off, but there's a little bit of spray of chips, but very minimal amount that was actually coming out of the tool. Rightio, so now we have the birch core HPL plywood, still with the Formica layer on. Now we'll do this test in 2mm as well, and we'll see what happens. Plywood is always harder to suck up through the vacuum, and we'll see what happens. The tool had no problem, it's more the extraction. We did have to go a lot slower with our feed speed, but we still managed 2mm in one pass. We can do 4, and we'll see what happens, and I'll show you the only downside that I've found with the tool so far. So we'll set it to 4mm on the tool. We'll make sure the vacuum's on full highest mode. So there we are, it was good. Just at the end, the tool was starting to back up a wee bit, and that's in here. Now, that is a downside, but that is also, compared to the Bosch would have bopped out way back here, and that would have been on a 1mm cut, not taking 4mm off. So that is doing exceptionally well. You could easily do this without having a vacuum attached, and that'll just shoot it straight out. Just trying to express what it would be like with the form of dust extraction. The other positive is, yes, it does back up, but it comes out so much easier, so much quicker to clean the tool out than the Bosch one. Just like that, it's all empty and ready to go again with that worst case scenario. So my next move that I would need to do is I'm looking to go and buy the adapter for my hose. So rather than the hose going inside the tool, I want to go sleeve over the outside, and maybe that jamming up may not happen. For many people on a typical standard day, they're probably not going to be taking 4mm off in one swipe, and if they are, they're going to be perfectly fine with maybe having less of a result with the dust extraction. If that was using plywood. Using the MDF, we had no issues, so you choose how you feel on the day. Okay, so a couple more things we'll talk about is the price. So it is a wee bit of a pricey unit. For the bare tool only was just under 500 New Zealand dollars for the tool, and then the battery itself was in that sort of 280, 290 sort of bracket. So together is somewhere in that 750-ish range. It is pricey. It is really precise too, just like when I did the last review on the 40 volt drop saw. Really precise tool, really accurate, and it feels good to use. The last thing I want to talk about is the run time. So normally I'd be chewing at least 3 to 4 batteries a day out of the Bosch. So far, and I was doing the kitchen with the plywood, I was using 2 out of the 4 bars on the battery on 1 battery per day. So come home, at the end of the day, 2 bars were left, put it on charge, next day repeat, same result again. Didn't have any bench tops to do, which does suck a wee bit out of your tool. I feel like potentially that 1 battery should hopefully get me through the day, and I won't have to have so many backed up. So question, would I buy this tool again? Hands down, yes I would. It's a double thumbs up from me. So if you like seeing this type of content and reviews, then subscribe to my channel and see what else I find.